Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert here at Bowers Stadium in Huntsville, Texas, home of the Sam Houston Bearkats, your reigning FCS National Champions. A historic FCS National Champion after winning this wild FCS spring season just a few months ago. But today, guys, we are here to bring you our early FCS preseason top 10. You know, FBS football is going to be back in the fall. FCS football will finally be back in the fall. Things are getting back to normal, but our FCS coverage isn't going to end. We're still going to provide you today with our top 10 going into the season. We're still going to provide you with the game of the week every week across the season. Of course, we'll be covering the playoffs when they come along later on in November and December. So let's go ahead and break it down today, guys. Our FCS preseason just a top 10. And we'll start off with number 1. Why don't we just start up at the top? And I don't think it should be any surprise who our number 1 team is. It's right here. It is Sam Houston. That's our number 1 team going into 2021. Some want to say James Madison. Some want to say North Dakota State, but I believe it's the Bearkats. How can you not go with the reigning national champions? How can you not go with the team that was 10-0 last year? The team that returns one of the best quarterbacks in the nation in Eric Schmid. Turns one of the top wide receiver and special team threats in the country, and Jaquez Ezzard, who had 12 touchdowns last year, single-handedly brought Sam Houston back from behind in a couple of their playoff games right here at Bowers Stadium. And they might even have one of the best, if not the best, defensive line in the entire FCS in 2021. They have a phenomenal head coach in K.C. Keeler, the only coach in FCS history to win a national title at 2 different schools. This is my number 1 team in 2021, a team that is also going to be competing in the WAC/ASUN Challenge this year, something very new that's coming to the FCS in 2021. Coming in at number 2, James Madison, the Dukes, a team that in this very stadium blew a 24-3 lead to these Bearkats. And they're looking to get some revenge, guys. They're looking to bounce back. And I think the Dukes are going to do it in a big way. This is a team that very well could win the national championship in 2021. They're the Colonial Athletic Association favorite for a reason. They've won 14 straight conference games. They've won 38 of the last 40 conference games. They always are very strong in the trenches. They're going to have a very strong defensive line. They're going to have a very strong offensive line. They've got a dangerous running back coming back in Percy Ajayi Obase. This is a team led by Kurt Cignetti as their head coach that, to me, continues to take a step forward every year, and sometimes it doesn't even seem possible. The Dukes come in at number 2. They're going to be in the title race once again. Number 3, we've got North Dakota State. We have the Bison. Maybe one of the best dynasties in all of sports. Not just the FCS, but college football as a whole. They won 8 FCS national titles from 2011 to 2019. 8 titles in a span of 9 years. Last year they took a step back. When you lose a generational talent like Trey Lance, that's to be expected. The Bison went just 7-3, lost to Sam Houston State right here in the quarterfinals, but expect the Bison to bounce back if they find their quarterback, if they can solve their quarterback issues. It's either going to be Cam Miller or the Virginia Tech transfer and Quincy Patterson. Whoever it is should take a major step forward for Matt Ince's team. Like James Madison, they always have a very strong offensive and defensive line. The Bison guys are going to be just fine. Just because they had a bad year last year doesn't mean they're going to be back. They're going to be very, very solid. We have them at number 3 in the nation going into this season. Number 4, South Dakota State, the team that lost to Sam Houston in the national championship game. One of the best games I have ever seen. Came down to the final seconds. The Jackrabbits fell just short. And here's the key thing with the Jackrabbits, guys, is while we have them at number 4 in the country, take it with a grain of salt. Their star quarterback, Mark Gronowski, tore his ACL in that national championship game against the Bearkats. He is going to be out for this season, which means that Keaton Heide is going to be their quarterback. And he stepped in for Gronowski, had played for the majority of that national championship game, and did everything he could to lead that team to victory. Getting key experience at that point in time is going to be huge for the Jackrabbits going into this season. He's going to be at quarterback, but we all know that the Jackrabbits want to run. Pierre Strong Jr., Isaiah Davis, a guy who had 305 all-purpose yards and 3 touchdowns in that national championship, almost pulled South Dakota State to victory by himself. They're back as the workhorses, and luckily for the Jackrabbits, they have key home games against Southern Illinois, Northern Iowa, North Dakota State, and North Dakota. All of those have to go to South Dakota State. They, again, could see a return trip to the national championship. In at number 5, the Fighting Hawks of North Dakota. Some might think that's a little too high, but I don't think so. They return a very young but talented quarterback in Tommy Schuster, impressed the heck out of me last year. Phenomenal quarterback play. They, like South Dakota State, want to run the ball with Otis Weah. had 730 yards and 9 touchdowns last year. He will be the workhorse. And this defense for North Dakota was unbelievable at forcing turnovers, unbelievable at creating pressure on the quarterback. They won a share of the Missouri Valley Conference last year. They handed South Dakota State their only regular season loss of 2020 or 2021, however you want to phrase it. And I got the Fighting Hawks as a top 5 team going into 2021. This is a good, scary team. And the Missouri Valley Conference, guys, could very well be the most difficult and best conference in the FCS this year. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the SEC and the FBS. And that's just the top 5, and that just shows you how much talent is there. The gap between those top 5 teams, especially the top 3 in Sam Houston, James Madison, and North Dakota State, is very, very slim. Very slim, which means it's going to be a really fun FCS season. Coming in at number 6, we have Delaware. The Blue Hens were kind of a major surprise last year, made it all the way to the semifinals of the playoffs before falling to South Dakota State. Kind of like some of these other teams we mentioned, they rely heavily on their defense, especially in the secondary, led by an All-American and Kendrick Whitehead and Noah Plack. But we know their strength is going to be running the football. We know they want to run the ball. They just have to get a little bit better play out of Nolan Henderson at quarterback. Get a little bit better play out of him. Still a young, somewhat dual-threat quarterback. The offense takes a step forward. Delaware could find themselves in another deep playoff run in 2021. That's how good the Blue Hens are. We have them at number 6. Number 7, I love this team, the Southern Illinois Salukis. Everybody kind of thought they were a one-hit wonder when they ended North Dakota State's 39-game winning streak in 2021. But they were no fluke. They went 6-4, beat Weber State in the first round of the playoffs. This team is not a joke. They are not a one-hit wonder. Just look at the guys coming back. Stone Labanowitz back at quarterback. Avante Cox and Landon Lenore back as his top 2 wide receivers. Their defense, they need a little bit of slight improvement, but James Caesar is one of the best cornerbacks in the secondary, one of the best cornerbacks in the nation. They can continue to build off of him, thrive off of him. The Salukis team can find themselves back in the playoffs and maybe make a deeper run than they did last year. In at number 8, Weber State. Only makes sense that the Wildcats come right behind the team they fell to in the playoffs last year. The Wildcats were actually the only home team to lose in the first round of the playoffs last year. And I think they've got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They're disappointed after the loss they suffered last year to the Salukis. Luckily for Weber State, they returned their top offensive players. This is the team that normally relies heavily on their defense. Never known for an electric offense. Their defense is always strong, but their offense could take a step forward this year. They've got Bronson Barron back at quarterback. They have Josh Davis back at running back. They've got Rashid Shaheed back at wide receiver. Their top 3, kind of triple threat there on offense, is back for Weber State. And of course, the defense is elite on the defensive line. They're elite in the secondary. They're elite in the linebacking core. Weber State comes in at number 8, guys, and once again will be looking to win their conference again. Final 2 teams here, number 9, number 10. We'll go with the 9th team, Jacksonville State, who, like Sam Houston, will be participating in that WAC A-Sun Challenge that's happening this year in the FCS. Keep an eye on that. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to see some very high-profile matchups with a lot of these conference realignments going on. But the Gamecocks played the most games out of any FCS team last year because they played a handful of games in the fall. They went 10-3, but ultimately I think that was their downfall. They got beaten up, they got worn down, they got hammered, they got injured, and they end up losing in the playoffs. If they come back a little bit healthier this year, this offense could be one of the most difficult ones to stop in the nation. Zarek Cooper is back at quarterback, has thrown for over 7,400 yards, has 61 total touchdowns in his career with Jacksonville State. Josh Samuel, Uriah West back as a dual threat with the running backs. This offense, guys, was so difficult to stop last year, could be even better now in 2021, in this fall season. The defense, again, if they can just be healthy, if they take a small step forward with that health and another year under their belt, could propel Jacksonville State to a new level. We see them as a top 10 team, and that's a scary thing to think about. Rounding out our top 10 for the preseason FCS right here at the Gridiron Expert, we've got Monmouth, the Hawks. A lot of people don't have the Hawks this high at number 10. Some people have them 15, 16, maybe as high as 12. We've got them at the top 10 team. Our good friend Noah Caldwell, who plays right here at Sam Houston, came out in our interview and told us that he believed that Monmouth was the most difficult team that Sam Houston played in their playoff run last year. Sam Houston beat North Dakota State. They beat James Madison. They beat South Dakota State. But he believed that the Hawks were the toughest team they faced in the playoffs. Keep in mind, Monmouth nearly won that game, throwing an interception in the end zone as time expired in that game against Sam Houston. When you look at Monmouth this year, guys, though, third straight Big South title. They're looking to win their third straight Big South title, and they have all the talent to do it. Juwan Fari is back at running back, 520 yards, 10 touchdowns. Tony Muskett is back at quarterback with his top wide receivers returning as well. And the secondary, extremely elite, one of the best in the entire nation. That's a major reason why they hung so well with Sam Houston. The Bearkats want to throw the ball. Monmouth was able to shut it down, but ultimately ended up losing that game. The Hawks are a sleeper team this year. They're going to be a top 25 team. We believe they're a top 10 team. We believe they will win their third straight Big South title. And we believe they could be in store for a deep playoff run. They're being slept on. Noah thinks differently. I certainly think differently. The Hawks are in the top 10. And that's going to conclude our top 10 FCS preseason rankings right here from the Gridiron Expert. Again, guys, we enjoyed covering the FCS so much in the spring. We want to keep it up now in the fall. And that's not going anywhere. And it's been a great honor to be here, right here at Bowers Stadium, home of the Sam Houston Bearkats, the reigning national champions here at the FCS. We cannot wait to see what the rest of this season has in store. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe. Check out everything down in that description below, and that includes those expert picks. We're going to have a couple FCS games sprinkled in there too, so you don't want to miss out on that. The content isn't stopping at all. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.